300 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. So that cut his career short. He was on pace, Tim, to be a solid tight end. I mean, when you look at him comparatively speaking, if he would have played as many years as Kaufman, he probably would have finished with more receiving yards, especially with Aaron at quarterback.
I agree. And that run that those Packer teams had, 2012, 13, 14, I mean, we all remember the Super Bowl run, but I mean, arguably those teams continued to improve, just a couple stupid mistakes that cost us opportunities in the postseason. But I agree, Clay, like if Jermichael Finley had the opportunity to play into his 30s, who knows what kind of numbers we would have seen. But, unfortunately it's another career cut short by injury. And that's part of the game though, right? It happens to every organization, and it's sad, but you can't help but wonder what might have been with Jermichael Finley for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Ed Madden said he had his neck fused. So there you go. Oof. That was kind of the details of the. I know he wanted to come back.
Ended Sterling Sharp's career, correct? Was the neck? He had the neck issue or something.
Might have been. I know Nick Collins similar, right?
Yep.
So, and around that time, as much as we like to criticize the league, around that time, that time frame is when the league really started. Hey, we got to get your head up, boys. You can't be leading with the crown of the helmet, right? CTE, neck injuries, all this stuff, and I do feel like we've seen less and less of it. So they probably came a long way there in that regard. But nonetheless, Jermichael Finley, one of those guys that was on pace to have a great season before, or a career before his season got cut short there in 2013. Next, you got Mark Chmura, Big Chewy on that Super Bowl winning team. Is that Big Bill Romanowski chasing him down too? God.
I don't know. I can't tell. Is he trying to spit on Chmura? I can't tell.
Bill Romanowski, man, you talking about a dirty player.
Might have been the dirtiest of all time.
Oh yeah. No, he would. I want to say he punched a teammate and broke his cheekbone or something in practice one day. I mean, he was just.
I absolutely believe that 100%.
Roided up to allegedly. When I say allegedly, he's admitted to it, but allegedly anyway. We'll cover our bases here. But anyway, here's Mark, not Chmura. Chewy wasn't roided up. Well, I don't know. Who knows? Romanowski admitted to using steroids. All right, let's move it along. And I will say this: Chewy said something one day on ESPN Milwaukee. Tim, have you ever seen the movie The Program? College football.
Oh yeah, James Caan. Are you kidding me? One of the greatest.
There's a lot of people that they'll criticize that movie and go, I don't like that it shined a negative light on football, and that's not how it was. BS. Chewy said, do you remember the scene where the guy got the oil change? You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
You guys don't know what I'm talking about. They would actually have someone come in and inject they would pull bad urine out and inject clean urine in the night before they had to do a urine test. All right. He said he had a teammate, I think he said in college maybe. Might be misquoting that a little bit, but he had a teammate at I think it was college. So I think he played at BC, so you do the math. That actually had that very process done. I was like, holy cow. He said the things that guys would go through to just try to get a competitive edge, 2-0 for this. That's how Russia did it in the Olympics. I don't know if he's joking or not. That might be true, actually.
Probably true. Allegedly, it's true.
But anyway, the people that were criticizing the program, that movie, The Program, and by the way, if you have not seen The Program, it's from the late 80s, early 90s, around that time. Go watch it. If you like college football, go watch that movie. It is so good, man. Oh, so
classic.
I watch it every late
Put the kids to bed before you watch the movie, though. That's probably not one for the young bucks, right? Memory serves me correct.
I want to agree with you, Tim, but damn, I turn on Netflix nowadays, and I'm like, what is this?
That's true.
I mean, they got little.
I'm showing my age, I guess it doesn't matter anymore, right?
It's just so weird how we've came. You know what I mean? How far we've that show that they had on Netflix with the underage girl dancers and stuff, and I was what are we doing? What are we anyway? Well, it's got off the rails.
Help us all.
Yeah. So Mark Chmura, all right, starting in 93, only 2 catches for 13 yards. Do you think Tucker Kraft did better than him his rookie year? I think he probably did, right?
Probably, yeah.
1994, his second year in the league, 165 yards receiving, 9 touchdowns, right? So I'm sorry, not 9 touchdowns, 0 touchdowns. That was 9, I guess 9 first downs is what that was. So he averaged 11.8 yards per catch. So you could kind of see it starting to click. 1995, and I think the stars mean they were Pro Bowl years. It might be all pro, but he was 26 years old in 1995. 679 yards receiving with 7 touchdowns. That was hands down his best year. So that was one of Brett Favre's, go-to targets. And that was the year that Brett won the MVP, obviously. The next year, he only played in 13 games, but he had 370 yards receiving, no touchdowns. Then the following year, played in 15 games, 417 yards receiving with 6 touchdowns. In 1998, he had 554 yards receiving and 4 touchdowns. And, of course, in 99, only 55 yards receiving, no touchdowns, and obviously retired after his 7th year in the league. So, again, we're going through these just to kind of set precedent. These are 3 of the most productive tight ends in the history of the Packers, right? Paul Kaufman, Jermichael Finley, and Mark Chmura. Now let's take a look at our boy Tucker Kraft, all right? Only 2 years in the league. Look at his rookie year. He played in all 17 games in 2023, 355 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. So, again, you go to Chewy's first year, only 13 yards. Second year, 165. So, Tucker Kraft outperformed Chewy. His second year in the league matched to Tucker Kraft's rookie year in the league, right? If we go back up to Jermichael Finley, he outperformed Jermichael Finley's rookie year as well, who only had 74 yards and played in 14 games, right? And Paul Kaufman's rookie year, he didn't have a single yard. So comparing apples to apples in terms of young rookies in the league, Tucker Kraft is off to the fastest start at the tight end position in Green Bay Packers history.
Packer history, yep. So
now let's go to year 2. Year 2, huge step. Played in all 17 games, 707 yards receiving and 7 touchdowns. Let's compare that to each tight end's breakout year. Chewy's breakout year, his best year, was in 1995, 679 yards receiving and 7 touchdowns. So he already, in his second year in the league, has had a better year than Chewy ever had. And this isn't the knock Chewy. This is just speaking facts. Chewy ever had in his entire career. Tucker Kraft has already surpassed that, right, in his second year. If you go to Jermichael Finley, his best year was his 4th year in the league where he had 767 yards receiving. So Tucker Kraft almost beat Jermichael Finley's best year, although if you go to the second year for Jermichael Finley at 676 yards receiving and 5 touchdowns, Tucker Kraft has outperformed him in his second year.
Yeah.
So he's tracking being an all-time great tight end in Packer history. And then Paul Kaufman, of course, Tucker Kraft, his second year in the league outperformed Paul Kaufman's second year in the league with 711 yards and 4 touchdowns. Like I said, Tucker Kraft had 707, just 4 yards less, but 3 more touchdowns. Tim, does this catch you off guard? Because, again, I knew Tucker had a great year, and we've talked about the passer rating when targeted and all that. He's like top 10 in the entire league amongst receivers and tight ends who had 60 targets or more. Does this catch you off guard? I mean, this dude he's playing better football than any tight end in the history of the Packers in terms of the first 2 years in the league.
I'm not being arrogant when I say, no, it didn't really catch me off guard. I mean, Musgrave's always been the question mark since these two got to town. I've always felt that way. I've always felt like Tucker was going to be that guy. And you can see it here in the numbers. It's a steady improvement every year, and he's Mr. Available. What I like is, 40 targets in 23, 70 targets in 24. So you can see the concerted emphasis that Coach LaFleur is making to get Tucker Kraft involved in this offense, not just as a blocker, but as a pass catcher, because we know he's the yak master, right? So I'm not completely shocked, and I wouldn't be completely shocked that if he continues on this trajectory and has a long career, that he will probably be the greatest tight end in Packer history when it's all said and done. We don't have a crystal ball. We don't know. But I would anticipate more of the same improvement from Tucker Kraft in year 3. And I can't wait to see, with the addition of guys like Savion Williams and Matthew Golden in this offense, combined with the weapons we already have. I mean, it's going to be I mean, we're going to be seeing Tucker Kraft running butt naked through the trailer park on a lot of plays. I think we're going to free up a lot of action for him. And we already know, even with the double team or safety help, it's tough to handle Tucker Kraft in the open field. So it'll be fun to watch these teams try and scheme against us.
Yeah. And again, like when you see a young player start to break out like this, you immediately think, okay, can it be sustained, right? Can you continue to play at that level? There's a lot of things that come into factor. Health, you got to stay healthy.
Yep. You've
got to understand the scheme. He's already got a grab of the scheme, right? You've also got to have kind of that work ethic that I don't know if it's an ability or not, Tim, but it's an attitude that, hey, I am not going to slack off. I don't know if you guys heard locker clean-out interviews last year, but Tucker Kraft, his was just like, this is not good enough. Yep. And basically, the way I took it was like, there's going to be some damn changes around here, and I'm going to lead the charge. I don't think he's going to be one of those guys that's a bad teammate. He's a spark plug. You could tell his teammates love him. He's just one of those dudes that he's got this positive attitude. I'm telling you, man, if he stays healthy, you look at the work ethic, it's there. You look at the attitude, it's there. His ability to pick up on the playbook, and you go, well, how did he pick up so fast? Remember Matt LaFleur's rookie year? Matt LaFleur said he was leaving the building. Everyone was already gone, and they walked by like a film room or whatever, and he noticed a light on there, looked in, and Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft were in there studying the playbook. Everybody else was out of the building, and those two got telling you, this is a guy that I want the captain to see on his chest.
Me too.
That's what we're seeing, right? It's early. I get it. Guys, he could not perform at this level the rest of his career and be a complete bust. That could happen. That's on the table. But I'm not betting against this dude, man. I'm not going to do it. So
me neither.
All right, let's see. We got a super chat from Bates. Thank you so much, buddy. He says, if Kraft has another good season, would they look at signing him to a new deal in the offseason, although having 1 year left on the rookie deal, I believe, still learning this contract stuff. So there's a rule in place, Bates, that you cannot re-sign a player until the final year of their deal, okay? So, and I think that's what you're saying is just 1 year left. Would you? Yep. Absolutely. He's one of those dudes. If he duplicates what he did last year, right, and he stays healthy and everything looks good, he's one of those guys that you get that contract done before training camp, period, case closed, going into the final year of his deal. And I'm trying to think, this will be year 3. Yeah, so going into this offseason, again, like you said, Bates, if he has another stellar year, go lock him up. Tim, what do you think about that? Because you're probably not going to play. You're probably not going to have to pay him like top 10 tight end money either. You know what I mean? Like you'll have to pay him as a starting tight end, but I don't think he'll be one of these guys that makes more than Kelsey or somebody. You know what I mean?
I agree, and that's all the more reason to give a guy like Tuck Norris some of those incentives in that contract, right? Because that's a guy that's going to, do a lot of things, but one thing he's not going to do is be outworked. He's going to work harder than everybody else every day to the best of his ability. So I think incentive laden contract for his second deal might be something we could see, but I think Bates is right. I think it's a no-brainer, man. Like you got to keep him around, even if it's a 5-year deal or something, you know what I mean? And just keep him here for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. No, hey, thank you, Bates. Appreciate the super chat, buddy. And glad that made sense. Yeah. Because there's a big misconception on that whole, like I would love once you identify a good player, go to him as early as possible and just tack that, get the signing bonus up front. That goes in their pocket right off the bat, and you can allocate it later and get somebody locked down. But the new CBA won't allow teams to re-sign a player until they're in the final year of their deal, is what it sounds like. So final year of their rookie deal. I think a veteran, you can do it at any point, I believe. I could be wrong there. We need to check that. That's why I love talking about this stuff, because we can kind of learn as we go. But it's definitely applies with rookies for sure. So appreciate the super chat, pal. Let's see. We had a couple other marked in here, Tim. Let's hit them real quick. And let's see. 2-0 for this earlier says the potential for this team with Kraft, Love, Jacobs, Wilson, Golden, Reed, Wicks, Dobbs, and Watson coming back is wild. Yeah, when I name off those players, I don't think I'm as high on all of them as most 2-0 for this. Like Kraft, absolutely. Like I give Kraft an A. If I were to give these guys letter grades, I'd say Kraft A. Love's tough because into 2023, A++++. But last year, I would put him in the B category. So maybe a B+ for Love. Josh Jacobs, A. Emmanuel Wilson,
B+.
B plus, and the only reason I don't give him an A is because he didn't have more carries.
Yep.
I mean, he did everything he could, Matthew Golden, the verdict's out there, right? Yeah. And you say, hey, Matthew Golden, we got to see it first, right?
Yep.
Jaden Reed, I'd give him an A minus, B plus, somewhere around there. Rookie year A, last year B, so B plus, A minus, something like that. Wicks is tough because his rookie year, I mean, he really shined. But guys, last year, all the flack that Reed's catching over the drops and stuff, it should go towards Wicks. Wicks was bad last year. It was pretty bad.
I go C plus on two.
Yeah,
Wicks.
I think that's very fair too. Very fair.
Yeah.
And then Dobbs is just probably a steady B minus for me. Somewhere around there is what I would give him. You got to take into consideration the injuries. You got to take into consideration the suspension and the reasons that the Packers. I just caught the ball. The reason that the Packers probably won't re-sign him. You got to take that. I would probably give him a B minus is what I would give Dobbs. What do you think about Dobby? What would you give him?
Rome's my dude. I like Rome, man. I'm gonna go B plus for him.
Mm-hmm. And if you remove the injuries for Watson, I would say B plus there.
Yeah. After a shaky rookie season, right?
Yeah. He
really bounced back and has fought through a lot of injuries and adversity. And man, I'm excited if he can get back ahead of schedule this year. Holy cow. Watch out for this receiving core, like Too Old for This is saying.
Yeah, and if you've got to take into account the injury, I would probably give him a B, Watson. I'd say B. If he had no injury history whatsoever and did what he was on track to do last year, and guys, he averaged over 21.5 yards per catch. That's A all day, So yeah, that's kind of how I would see it. So, the potential for this team with these guys, I'm on board with you, man. If they hit on Golden, sky's the freaking limit. If they don't hit on Golden, you're still going to have a top 10 offense if everybody stays healthy. When I say everybody, you know what I mean. Like, if you don't have 2 or 3 horrible key injuries,
right?
I hate
everybody misses a week or two from time to time. It happens. You're hoping nothing more than that, right?
Yep. And a player that's not even on this list is Rob Westerman in the chat from GBP Daily says, really hoping for a Musgrave breakout year. If Musgrave breaks out this year, then it means we were in 12 personnel more than 11. And I don't see us pressing into 12 as much as most people would think. You would probably have it increase if he shows that kind of, improvement in camp. You'll probably, it might go up 5% of the snaps from where it was last year in terms of the personnel. But I think they're really going to want to press into 11, Tim, because, who are you going to take off the field to bring Musgrave out there? That's the problem, right? And I'm saying that, not saying that we're not going to play 12. We're going to play more 12 this year than we did last year. I just about guarantee it. But in order for Musgrave to have a breakout year, I feel like we'd have to be in 12 personnel darn near 50% of the time. And I don't think they're going to take Matthew Golden, Jaden Reed, Dontavion Wicks, Romeo Dobbs, these guys off the field. Now, if they decide they're going to use Musgrave as a big wide receiver, that could be the case. You flex him out wide. It's technically 12 personnel, but you're in a wide split. They may go that route, Tim. What do you think?
I think so. And I think it's like we talked about earlier about, the illusion of complexity and also complexity within an offense and trying to, kind of mix things up and not be predictable. We haven't seen Musgrave in a while. This is our first crack at him being pretty healthy, right? Going into this year after, a lot of nasty injuries that he's had in his short career so far. But I would agree with that sentiment that we'll probably see more 12 personnel this year, but I don't think we're going to, run a ton of it all the time. It almost begs the question, do we mix in a little 21 and go and, maybe give Tuck Norris a playoff and, you can put Musgrave out there with, E. Wilson and Josh Jacobs or something and run a 21 set, two back set with one tight end and maybe Musgrave can, catch a release and, catch a ball in the flat, turn up field or something. I don't know. But I do think we'll see an effort to get him some touches. I would definitely think, especially early, like preseason and stuff like that. But when it comes down to, week 1 or whatever, it'll be interesting to see what kind of role they have for him in this offense with all the personnel that we have now. But I think Rob's absolutely right. If we get a breakout year from Baby Deer Legs, Luke Musgrave himself. And we got Tucker Kraft. You comped him as the next George Kittle the other day. I thought that was extremely accurate. I see a lot of that similarities in those two guys in their approach to the game, the way they play the game, and the type of players that they are. So I think if Musgrave breaks out and Tuck Norris is doing what Tuck Norris does, we're going to be problems for a lot of teams this year for sure.
You're going to make me do it, Tim. You done mentioned George Kittle. I'm going to do a little comp here. I think we need to do it. Dan Mullen with the super chat. All he said was, "Thanks for the content, guys." Hey, thank you for the dono there, Dan, and thanks for hanging out. Dan. We appreciate you, man. Sure. And right now on the leaderboard, just looked over at the leaderboards here on YouTube. Let's refresh it real quick. You guys know we got a new leaderboard feature. I'm just in love with it. I think it's awesome. Bates is currently leading along with Clint it doesn't show me the full name there. I can't remember. Is it Cosgrove?
Cosgrove, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're both tied right now at 150 XP each. 2-0 for this is in third place with 100. And then Mike Berry, Solder, and several others are bringing up the fourth place spot there at 75 XP. Appreciate y'all chatting with us and not hanging out, man. Let's do this, Tim. Let's pull this down. Actually, yeah, I'll keep this up on my end. And I want to put George Kittle's stats up here real quick because you got me thinking now, like, how does he look compared to the start that George Kittle got? Now, George Kittle, to me, before I even look at the numbers, he seems like a first ballot Hall of Famer if he retired today. So I'm thinking these numbers are going to be through the roof. See if we can get it on the screen and look together. All right, so here are George Kittle's career stats. Oh, yeah, Tim, my God. Look at this, dude.
Monster.
Rookie year 2018, 1,377 yards with 5 touchdowns. That is in
targets.
That is crazy. And you're
136 targets for a rookie tight end.
That's a great point, Tim. Now, year 2, he took a spot. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say you got to credit Shanahan and the staff for just getting that kid going right away. And I think that's a lot of the reason we're having this conversation right now is because they didn't handle him with kid gloves and, not allow him to just go out there and be a part of that offense. They cut him loose right away, and we got a whole stack of 1,000-yard seasons to show for it. So I think it's important to remember that. But go ahead. No, go ahead.
2019, he took a slight step back at 1,053 yards, 5 touchdowns. So now in 2020, it looks like he only played in 8 games, so he got hurt that year. 634 with 2 touchdowns. 2021, he jumps back up at, let's see here, 910 yards and 6 touchdowns. In 2022, 765 and 11 touchdowns. Then back up over 1,023, 1,020 with 6 touchdowns, and then back up over 1,100 yards in last year. 1,106 receiving yards, 8 touchdowns. So Tucker Kraft does not stack up to George Kittle yet, right? That rookie year in 2018, Tim, that is insane, man. Yep. I think people forget how good he has been. So, if he were to hang it up right now, that's a first ballot Hall of Famer, right? It's got to be.
Off the stats alone, probably.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And you got to figure he's got at least 3 to 5 more seasons left, depending on
the way he takes care of his body.
Yeah.
Yep. He's a real deal for sure. I hate that he plays for the 49ers, but
I know
he's one of my favorite players. So, Clint, armchair quarterback with the dono. Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much, man.
Thanks, Clint.
Yeah.
I like Ed Madden's comment here in the chat too. So much for tight ends taking 2 to 3 years, right?
Right.
Look at a guy like George Kittle. And I think arguably Tucker Kraft too. You could say that about Tuck. I think by year, you look at year 2 last year, I think it's no secret that he's figuring this out and he's on the right path. So I think this will probably be the breakout year for him as well.
Yeah. 2-0 for this says, how did he do so bad for me in fantasy that year? I don't know. So I'm not the fantasy guru around here. Jacob's out chasing skirt tonight, so you'd have to ask him when he's back in the office. All right, he's somewhere right now at a neighborhood barbecue like that on the ground for sure. So as soon as you mention the ladies, all of a sudden Jacob can't make it on the stream, can he, Tim? It's funny how that works. It's like, yeah, there's a new girl that moved in 2 apartments down. Jacob's like, you know what I'm saying? Unbelievable, that guy.
He's definitely ready to go.
Get ready to go.
All right. Let's talk a little Edgerrin Cooper before we wrap up. That sound good, man?
Yes, sir.
All right. Couple tweets came down the pike here. Well, the first one of them I sent, but this one caught my attention. This was from PFF, and PFF Packers actually retweeted it. The top 32 linebackers going into the 2025 NFL season per Mason Cameron. Here is the top 10 list. So these are your stack backers, your top 10 stack backers in the entire league according to Mason Cameron. Number 1, Fred Warner. Number 2, Zach Bond. Number 3, Bobby Wagner. Can we just say this for a second, Tim?
Yeah,
we were spot on wanting Bobby Wagner, were we not?
For sure. For sure.
We caught hell over that. He's 73 years old. That dude went out there and balled again, man.
Yep.
So, yeah. Number 4, Roquan Smith, after the Bears, of course. It just took him getting out of Chicago. All of a sudden, he's a better football player. Funny how that works. Dre Greenlaw, number 5, and he's with Denver now. Bobby Okereke, I think I'm saying that right, with the New York Giants is number 6. Devin Lloyd with the Jaguars, number 7. Number 8, Jack Campbell with the Lions. Number 9, our very own Edgerrin Cooper with the Green Bay Packers. Dude is a dog. And number 10 with the Bears, TJ Edwards. So Edgerrin Cooper in the 9 spot, I think if he continues at the pace he kind of set last year, Tim, you're going to see him climb into the top 5 this year. I think Dre Greenlaw's best football is probably behind him. He'll still be a good linebacker, don't get me wrong. Bobby Wagner's got to fall off sooner or later, right?
Yeah. I'll believe it when I see it, though.
Right. Coach Lynn says Cooper better than all of them. Hey.
Oh, okay.
We're going to watch a little tape here in a second. We're going to pull up 3 clips of his 3 sacks last year. It's hard for me to disagree with him, Tim. Like, you put his tape side by side with half of these guys, and you're going to go, yeah, I'm taking 56. That dude, he jumps off the tape, absolutely jumps off the tape. So I'm with you, Coach Lynn. I think at the end of this year, if he stays healthy and takes that next step, I think you're going to see him in the top 5. And another guy, just like Tucker Kraft, just a great attitude. Plays just like Ray Nitschke, mean as hell on Sunday, but just an absolute stud of a teammate and player that you want to coach off the field.
I remember just reporting back from camp last year when he was not able to go and, couldn't even do any of the just like, stretching or anything with the team. He was just standing there. And that's tough. It's got to be tough for a rookie who's like trying to get out there, right? And he was in Quay Walker's hip pocket every day of camp. Those 2 guys were like attached at the hip. And you could just see, him trying to absorb as much information as he could, even though he couldn't be on the field. And we saw an extended period of time where we didn't see reps from him at all. And lo and behold, the minute his number's called, Edgerrin Cooper comes out of nowhere and just kind of takes the NFL world by storm in his rookie season. And I think a lot of that is attributed to what you're saying about him is that, as a player, when he's healthy on the field, he's a monster. But this is a guy that even if, maybe you need to rotate someone in or, maybe it's your time to sit out, he's not going to pout. He's going to be engaged. Yep. He's always learning. And when you combine that with the physical freak that he is, I mean, you could be right, Clay. I think we could be looking at a top 5 spot for him by the end of this year. And, by the end of that kid's career, we could be talking Canton. You never know. I hate to get ahead of my skis a little bit, but
bro,
I'm starting to get that. I'm starting to get that, that kind of vibe,
Dude, I'm as skeptical as anyone. You'll hear me say, all right, guys, it's early. You heard me say it about Tucker. Tucker is tracking to be a great tight end, but things happen. You got to be realistic in that aspect. But the stuff that I seen Edgerrin Cooper do last year, just from a Green Bay Packer fan standpoint, being a fan since 2002, 2003, somewhere around that range, I have never seen them bring in a linebacker, a stack backer that plays the way Edgerrin Cooper does. Like, it was last year I went, this is different. This is way different.
Come a long way from Blake Martinez, right?
Yes, that's correct. And again, you had some good ones, Tim. I remember Nick Barnett, solid linebacker. A.J. Hawk, one of my favorite players in the history of the Packers. I love the way A.J. Hawk played the game. I think he was way underrated by Packer fans, me personally. Team captain year in and year out, Super Bowl champion, won a national title in college. You would have to drag him off the field. You remember the game that I was telling you about? I went to Monday Night Football, that Aaron Rodgers first touchdown pass. that game, talking to that same gentleman in the stands, that was sitting next to me, we had a conversation about AJ Hawk before that. He was playing with a shoulder harness that game. They strapped him into a shoulder harness so he wouldn't miss that game. And I remember him running Adrian Peterson down in that game. And people that said he was slow don't know what the hell they were talking about. Ran Adrian Peterson down, and that guy was like, I'm so glad he's in the lineup tonight. And we had a conversation about, he's actually in a shoulder harness. Like, dude was just so freaking tough. But Edgerrin Cooper, AJ Hawk, no match for what I seen Edgerrin Cooper do last year. I'm just telling you. It wasn't even close. Like, if you were to put their tape side by side and say which one's a top 5 pick, I would have said Edgerrin Cooper's a top 5 pick over AJ. And I love AJ. I think AJ, like I said, is underrated. So he needs to be.
I think they're most alike in the FBI category, right? Like AJ Hawk was one of them guys too. He knew what you were doing, man. You weren't gonna fool him at all.
And in that 34 defense too, when you were playing the run, he would stick his nose in there against those guards, man. He talks about it too. I've heard him talking about the McAfee. They're like, when you see a guard pulling and I've got to cut that off or they're gonna gain a hat. All right, here we go. Let me just go bury my skull into a 330-pound offensive lineman's chest, right?
Yep.
That's AJ Hawk. So, I'm really excited to see Edgerrin Cooper. And what Dave says here, Dave MX6 Garcia says, Quay and Edge was like peas and carrots. Smiley face. Quay played better in that 2 or 3 game stretch before he hurt his ankle. I know there was one game in particular, it was like, it just clicked. It clicked. That's one game, but it clicked. If they come out this year and take a step together, look out, because you got 2 physical freaks. I mean, it's going to be exciting for sure. So let's go to a little bit of tape, Tim. That sound good?
Yes, sir.
These are the 3 sacks that Edgerrin Cooper had last year. I think he had 3.5, and I just got the 3 full sacks here. But let's just pull it up here on my X account. This was a lot of fun to watch. I just said year 2 going to be wild for Edgerrin Cooper.
I remember this one already. Let's go. Oh, yes.
Look at him right here playing Joker, Tim, right?
Love it.
Playing Joker, lined up in a 0 tech. And now watch what he does here. He's not going to blitz the quarterback right off the bat. Look at the motion. He's not even deterred right there. That's what you call a sugar spy, right? You're going to sugar the center like you're going to blitz, and then you're going to hop back out and just kind of play underneath, and now he's going to scrape, right? So look at LVN. LVN catches a lot of heat all the time. Look at LVN out here, wide 9, right? He's going to loop over, and then Edgerrin Cooper is going to scrape off of him, right? So he's showing a touch spy. Watch him jab step. LVN going to clear it out for him, hit the guard in the rib cage there too, right? Yep. Take the tackle with him.
And take the tackle with you, exactly.
Matt Stafford's like, who the hell is this Joker, right? And look at Edge just finish, man. Dude, it does not get any better than that. I mean, that tackle too. Look at the wingspan. What's the wingspan here? Get you some. He's a dog, dude.
Take a look at Quay on that play too.
Mm-hmm. Let me go slow motion for us, Tim. We'll make it a little bit easier.
It's kind of an example of what we were just talking about. Like, this is one of the rare times we saw them on the field together. Look at how comfortable Quay is over there, staying home in his assignment. It's like you got to feel like Quay Walker feels like having a guy like Edge Cooper out there next to him. It's just like a certain weight off of his shoulders and the ability to play a little bit more free, I think, when Cooper's on the field.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. So, again, there's a nice sack of Matt Stafford. Tried to hit him with that spin move. Coop wasn't having it. All right, next play. Here's another sack from Edgerrin Cooper. This is against Seattle. So, you see they're both mugging, right? This is what you call a double mug look, all right, double A-gap mug. You got Quay here, it looks like. That's 7, right? And then you got Edgerrin Cooper there. So, they're both showing blitz. Let's see if they actually blitz or not. There might be a double loop right here in the middle with both backers blitzing. Let's watch it. Slow motion. Nope, Quay's belling. And look at Edgerrin. That was actually designed. Edgerrin, what he was doing.
That was like a stunt almost.
It was. Edgerrin Cooper's job right here is to take this offensive lineman and wash him out so Kenny can loop off of him. So it's kind of the opposite of a straight blitz. But what's crazy is he does that and then still fights through the block, and he's the guy who hits home.
Almost causing a fumble there, too. Gino almost dropped that ball. Did you see that?
Yeah.
He almost popped it out there at the end. That was Coop punching at it. Right there. See it?
Yep. Whoa. Go ahead and rake at the ball as you're tackling the ball carrier, right?
I love it.
Again, let's watch it one more time. And it's, again, firing in. washing the guard out and then still finishing the play. And you see Kenny throw his hand up. He was like, damn, look at Coop take over. Love it, man. All right.
Oh,
this is probably my favorite. Yeah, you know what's coming here, Tim.
We're sorry, Fabio, but we had to show it.
Yeah, got to show it. So you got our boy Edgerrin Cooper right here standing up, right? He's kind of over the guard, but he's off. He's playing stack backer, but he's actually firing, right? So I love how he's trying to disguise it there. Now he's going to creep, and let's see what the play call is here. So it looks like they're twisting, right? It looks like Kenny's going to twist off of him maybe. Yep, they were trying to twist. They did a pretty good job picking it up, but look at Coop just fight through, and then, of course, smacking the ball out. Again, when you see it in real time, you don't really think it's almost like it was an accident. He punched the ball out. That's not the case.
No.
Watch him go after this football. Watch his left hand punch it out.
Boom. Yep.
And then, of course, you got the hip check from Devontae Wyatt right here. Bang, get out of the way, big boy.
Yeah. You know why? Because Devontae Wyatt was tired of being held. Look at the right side of your screen from the snap. Hold the whole way.
Look at this hip check.
Get off me, little man.
That's a grown
little man. That's a grown man. That's a wow. Was that a guard that he just shoved to the ground?
Yeah. Either the guard or the center. Whoever it was, I guarantee he's over 300 pounds, and he just hip checked the hell out of him and still got on the ball. Oh, just a great play.
You see Rashawn pull up at the end, like, nope, Devontae's got it. Let him get the ball. I'm not twisting an ankle over this.
So now the question is, do we use Edgerrin Cooper like this more often? You know, because, you know, what I love about it, Tim, we were talking about Colin Oliver, right, last night. And that's another piece you can bring in. It's going to take him a while to get acclimated to the system and everything that we always talk about. But how do you want to utilize Edgerrin Cooper? You know, everything's on the table. You can bring him on those blitzes. You can drop him into coverage. You know, that same game, he covered down the seam on Christian Kirk and actually put the ball up in a Tampa 2 call where he had mid-zone responsibilities. They put speed to 3 with Christian Kirk. He flips his hips, runs stride by stride with Christian Kirk, breaks the play up, and actually hurts Christian Kirk. Not that he was trying to, but hurt him on the play, knocking the ball out at the last second. That's him covering a receiver down the seam. He can do that. He can attack the flat. He can run those twist blitzes in the middle with the double A gap look. He can play joker. Yeah. You could probably rush him off the edge if you want to.
That's my answer, Clayton. That's how I want to see him utilized. I want teams to not know what the hell's going to happen when he's on the field. You know, like Mike Fire, I don't care. Put him at the mic. Send him right up the gap, right up the middle. Yeah. Send him off the edge. Put him in a slot. Let him cover. I don't care. Like, the guy's just so versatile. I think the more ways we use him, the better. Hopefully not putting too much on a young player's plate, but I think the guy can handle it personally.
Yeah. No, I mean, he proved last year he could, you know, it's going to be exciting, man. So again, when you look at the linebacker room, we'll end with this. I just want to take a quick glance, and we need to get this updated. It might be a little out of date, but it should be fairly accurate. This is from our lads. Look at the will and the Mike backer here, okay? So you got Quay starting as the will. They got Edgerrin Cooper as the Mike. Now, again, those are very, very interchangeable. This is not 1997 anymore. Well, the will and the Mike are very, very interchangeable in the nickel 4-2-5 in 2025. So you got Quay and Edgerrin Cooper as your starting backers. Then you got Isaiah McDuffie and Tyron Hopper. Then Isaiah Simmons and Christian Welch, right? They've got Colin Oliver listed as an edge here, and that may very well be where they play him at. But if you look at the depth of the linebacker position, Quay Walker, Edgerrin Cooper, Isaiah McDuffie, Tyron Hopper, those all 4 are going to make the roster. There's no way they don't unless they end up on IR or PUP or something.
And I don't see them signing Isaiah Simmons not to keep him around.
Right. And Christian Welch probably on the bubble. But if you decide to only carry 5 linebackers as opposed to 6, if you decide to only carry 5, then it'll probably be Quay Walker, Edgerrin Cooper, Isaiah McDuffie, Tyron Hopper, and Isaiah Simmons. Colin Oliver will make the roster as an edge, right? If you decide – that's the beautiful thing about Colin Oliver, and that's the reason I wanted to look at this depth chart, Tim, is Colin Oliver is so freaking valuable to this team that he can play edge defender or stack backer if they see him as a stack, right? that allows you to take one less edge to keep one less edge defender if you need to. Now let's look at the edge defender room, right? Rashawn Gary, Lucas Van Ness, Kingsley Enagbare, Baron Sorrell, Brenton Cox Jr. I feel like all 5 of those are a shoe-in to make the roster.
Yeah,
Colin Oliver.
Mosby's on the bubble.
Yeah, Mosby's definitely going to the practice squad, in my opinion, unless an injury happens. Yeah, Oliver's going to make the roster. He's a 5th-round pick, right? Yep. I mean, he would have to really bust out in camp in a bad way to not make the roster. So it's going to be your linebacker room got better with the addition of Isaiah Simmons and Colin Oliver. And again, people look at Isaiah Simmons like he's a bust, and I don't see him in the same light as the people that really, really like Isaiah Simmons. But he's only a bust because he was the number 8 overall pick. Right. If you had drafted him in the 3rd round, people would be talking about how he was a great 3rd-round pick. You know what I mean, Tim?
Yep.
So, and he's a special teams ace, too, it looked like last year. I think he graded out in the 80s, according to PFF, maybe even the 90s in special teams. So I'm excited about the linebacker room, man. I think we got better. I really do.
I do, too. Would have liked to see Eric Wilson stick around, but we knew what was going on with that. And I like, looking back on it, I like the McDuffie signing. It keeps you it's not a huge turnover. You've got some, familiar faces there. And, say what you want about Zay McDuffie, man. I love the way the guy plays football. I really do. He's got a few things in his game that he's still working on as he's, coming into his own still a relatively young guy. Got some years ahead of him. So I think that was a clutch move, keeping him in that linebacker room with, this young talent that we have. You need guys like that when you've got, young freaks like Edgerrin Cooper and stuff. So, right. And hey, Tyron Hopper, gosh, I hope we get to see a little bit more of him this year. I thought he showed a little bit of flashes last year, but we didn't get to see much of him. So hopefully he takes a step as well.
Yeah, I apologize, Jerry. I missed your super chat. I don't know how long it's been sitting there. It looks like a couple minutes. Jerry in the chat says, can't wait to see these guys going after Caleb Williams. Amen to that. Amen to that. If you guys remember in college too, Tim, Evan Williams caused absolute chaos on Caleb Williams when Oregon played
USC
there. I mean, I think he forced maybe 2 fumbles with him. I mean, he was just all over Caleb Williams. If Caleb Williams wants to play that little scramble game, Edgerrin Cooper's the dude you want on him. Now, they got matched up a couple of times last year, and it was early in the season. I remember this, and Coop took a bad angle. Anyway, yeah. And we didn't even talk about the fact that Cooper's put on 20 pounds.
Yep.
Like, dude's going to be a dog. And again, when you identify what a Mike Backer is, and Jerry, thank you so much for the super chat. When you identify what a Mike Backer is, a gap destroyer, right? He's the general of the defense. If they see him as a true Mike, he's got to be able to know the checks, know the calls, play sideline to sideline, but he's also a gap destroyer. That's what we just seen on that tape. So I think he got it there. Quay, to me, doesn't fit gap destroyer as well as Edgerrin Cooper.
That's your touch spy.
Yeah. He screams Will Backer. You know what I mean? He really does. Yep. And that play that we showed, that's how that would have lined up there too, was like he was kind of playing the flat, right? Playing the curl flat while Edgerrin Cooper blitzed. And Quay can blitz too. His pressure percentage is really good, if I remember correctly.
That's why I like those two kind of as a Batman and Robin, right? Like kind of like a tag team, because you got to think, you're looking at those stack backers as a quarterback and you're wondering which one is going to blitz. And it might be both. It might be none. They can both drop into coverage. They can both, blitz off the edge, blitz up the middle. It's going to be fun to watch this linebacking core. It really is.
Definitely. All right. That's it, gang. We're going to get out of here. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us tonight. This was a lot of fun. Want to give a special shout out to the Super Chats, United Bates, Dan Mullen, Clint the Armchair Quarterback, and Jerry with the Super Chats. Thank you all so much for supporting what we do here. Let's give a shout out to the MVP tonight over in our rankings on YouTube. And it looks like Holmes MD won, too old for this. United Bates, Ed Madden, and Clint Cosgrove all tied at 150 XP tonight. Chuck Jagger's coming in there next at 125. Appreciate y'all being very vocal in the chat and being a part of the show tonight. Y'all were awesome. Tim, you got anything else, Bob? Anything at all?
Just remind them about our charity of the month.
That's right.
Givebutter.com patreon.com/KRPSJ5. If you want to make a dono, get involved with My Autism Connection and support for autistic adults. So this is your chance to win an autographed Dorsey Levens jersey. This is pretty cool, Clay. Good giveaway.
Absolutely. If you go to my Twitter account at Packers_access, click on that link that Tim has at the bottom there. Just whatever you donate, for every $5 donated, your name will get entered into the contest one time. And at the end of June, so it's going to run all through June, we're going to spin that wheel with everybody's name on it that donated and give away this awesome autographed Dorsey Levens jersey. So I appreciate you bringing that up. It's an awesome cause. Again, My Autism Connection, all our friends over there. Appreciate y'all partnering up with us and allowing us to make a little bit of a difference in this crazy world. And also the best way to support this show, if you like this content, you say, man, I don't want this to leave. I want it to stick around. I really enjoy this. You can join our Patreon community. People ask all the time, hey man, do you got a Venmo? Do you got a PayPal? The best way to support what we do is just join our Patreon community. $3 is all it costs. Patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. You get extra exclusive content. You also get access to the chats, questions for the show, just like the super chats, all that good stuff. So if you want to join, you can also scan the QR code in the upper right as well. So Tim, thank you for your time, bud. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me as always, man. Be back tomorrow.
All right, man. Everybody have a great night. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world and go back.
Here we go.
Bye, guys.